All right. Hello, everyone. It's Lori Lewis, the director, with another episode of the Before the Big Day podcast. Didn't mean to have my glasses on, so let me take them off. But today I have not one, not two, but four guests. If you were on social media during the holidays, you see that we presented ourselves as the real wedding planners of Detroit. And so I'm excited to have the five of us here out of the six. But our other planner will be on in a future episode. So we are here today to just throw out this is the beginning of the year. We've seen a lot of engagements come across our timeline. And so folks are getting into wedding planning mode, even though we're still in this pandemic, right? So we are here to just impart some quick resources and tips to navigating your wedding during COVID-19. Yes, we're all hoping that it ends very, very soon and we can go back to our big party celebrations. But in the meantime, there are a few things you need to know. So after my guests do their brief introductions, we're going to get into planning your big day during COVID-19. So let's begin with the first person that's popping up on my screen, and that would be Brandy of BPosh Events. Hello, Brandy. Welcome.
There we go.
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing wonderful.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. So tell us a little bit about BPosh.
So we are a wedding planning company, obviously here in the Metro Detroit area. We do all type of events, but our specialty is weddings. We also have a sister company, Posh Destination and Travel, where we are specializing in destination weddings and group trips for your bachelorette parties and for honeymoons. And we just absolutely love that we can start you with the beginning with wedding planning, and then, well, before wedding planning with the bachelorette and bachelor parties, and then get you through your wedding, and then send you off on your honeymoon, and then maybe baby moon if you decide to extend your family.
Absolutely. Thank you. Pilar of Four Seasons Events. You might have to unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pilar Dokes. I am with the Four Seasons Event Group. We are located in Metro Detroit. We love to travel. I work with, well, as of lately, I've been working with a lot of busy millennial brides, your girls who are on the go and they just can't be bothered with wedding plans. We also recently launched the Four Seasons Bridal Boutique. It's an online store. We specialize in bridal accessories and some bridal wear gifts, bridal party gifts. And some of the items are everyday items that you can purchase just for your home. So that's my new baby, and it's a whole lot of fun and a whole lot of work.
Awesome. That's what we do best, work. All right. Brandy of Will You Party?
All right, I'm here. Thank you for having me again.
Of course.
My name is Brandy. I'm the owner of Will You Party Event Planning. We plan so you can party. We're located on Livernois and 8 Mile, right in the Fashion District. Okay. We do destination weddings. That's one of our specialties. We also specialize in guest experience. So no matter how crazy it seems to you, we want to execute and make it happen. Even if it's a hanging cake, if it's someone floating from the ceiling, if it's musicians, whatever you may be looking for, we specialize in it. We just want your day to be the fun and have the guest experience that you would like. I am also the state manager for the Association of Bridal Consultants for the state of Michigan. We are located all over the country, which allows myself to be able to network in other states and other countries for my brides. So I don't have to look out too far. I actually can just reach out, and I have that pool in other states and countries to make it happen. So I'm so excited about that. But that's a little bit about Will You Party.
Awesome. And finally, Crystal Marie of Crystal Marie Events.
Okay, there we go. Hey, girl. Hey,
Hey.
I am Crystal Marie from Crystal Marie Events. We are headquartered in Detroit, Michigan. But just like the rest of the ladies, we travel. I spend a lot of my time out of state. Our signature is destination weddings. However, last year during the pandemic, we launched virtual weddings, which has been great for our clients as well as business for me. I am also the author of the Crystal Clear Bride Guide, as well as So You're Engaged Now, what co-authored with Terry's Cakes, which is a local bakery in Detroit. Yeah, we do all type of weddings, but like, just like the girl said, my client is the busy bride who really doesn't have time, whether she's deployed in Africa, whether she is a lawyer, a judge. We specialize with the busy bride who knows that how we work and just say, go ahead and plan and I'll see you on the day of. So that is my ideal client. I love it. I love her and him. So, so yeah, that's Crystal Marie Events. We turn events into experiences.
Awesome. And so for those listening, for those watching, yes, we may all be located in the Metro Detroit area, but we truly all believe in collaboration beats competition. And so we all have our own brides or clients that are the best fit. So I would say the first piece of advice before we get into our conversation is you need to find the planner that fits your vision and your style. And so each of us brings something different. And so part of your wedding planning process is to get in touch with that planner that fits your style. And the best way to do that is to reach out to one of us, right? Be it social media or our websites. And that information will be in our show notes. So just kicking off the conversation now, ladies, and you can jump in wherever you like. What is the best planning advice? What's one piece of advice that you could give to someone who just got engaged? They're really just even thinking about what it is that they want to do for their big day during this pandemic. Who wants to begin?
I can start.
Okay.
Well, during this pandemic, I would say keep your options and your mind open, because we have different types of rules and executive orders that are constantly changing. So when I have new consults call me and new inquiries come in, and I see that they want to have their wedding in 2021, the first thing I ask is, are you sure you are ready for the ride of having a wedding in 2021? Can this be something that can wait until 2022? Or are you ready for the ride for 2021? Because it's just unknown. So be prepared to have an open mind for different changes that are going on during the pandemic. It's not an easy ride. You have got to understand you got to bend and pivot with the changes. So that's my most important advice.
All right. Be flexible. All right. Anyone else? You guys making me feel like I'm teaching class today.
I know,
okay.
right? I'm like, because I always got something to say for everything. I think B hit it right on the head. Like that's what we've been doing, because for all of us, we want to keep our businesses, our companies. So we have to do what, the ordinance suggests. So, and thank God, I think most of our clients have been pretty flexible, and that's the whole point of hiring a wedding planner, right? To trust us. So I think at that point, after they sign the contract, after they see our work, after they book the consultations, they know that we can do the job, and just be open. And I always say, what is the list 5 things that's very important to you guys? Like what's important? Yeah. So is it your dress? Is it the DJ, whatever it is, what's important? Those are the things to focus on, because at the end of the day, you two are pairing together forever. So it's not really about the day. It's about, I want you guys to always be in sync during the whole wedding process. You shouldn't be arguing about this or that. So it's like, what is significant to the both of you guys? That way it keeps kind of that stress level down, up into the day you guys are still in love with each other and ready to get married. So
hopefully, right.
Yeah, right. So that's usually my advice. What are the top, between 1 to 5 things that's important to you? Focus on that.
Brandy, Elle, were you getting ready to say something?
Well, just to kind of piggyback, Brandy and Crystal pretty much covered it. You at this point, you have to be very flexible. So it starts with the date, which they all start with that date, but be flexible just in case, you decide you want this date for 200 people and the state is not open. If that date is important to you, go ahead and get married, but think about it may be smaller. You may have to go to a court, but you may have to have a party later on when the state opens up. So again, Brandy hit it right on the head, be flexible. But I also tell people right now, you got to start with an experienced planner because we have the connections. A lot of people right now are operating, you don't know if they're going to be open next year. So our experience let us know from pop-up, let's say pop-up bakers, or who may be there for the long run through the longevity that will be open next year. Because you got to remember, a lot of people, businesses folded under this through COVID. So I would say start with us, a professional planner that's been in it. I mean, you're probably looking at, I don't know how many years of expertise right here. Start with us because I can tell you, hey, we may not move forward with them just because I'm not sure if they're going to be open or if they can carry through. So that's important because you don't want to lose money through this. Starting at the beginning, it all starts with a budget or a spending plan. You just don't want to lose money. So I would say you start with the planner, an experienced planner.
Love it. And can I just add this in that some of the weddings that are still occurring, like there's some awesome little micro weddings going on as well.
Yeah.
I mean, so you can still have the wedding of your dreams.
Yeah.
It may not have as many people there, but across my timeline, I'm like, wow. I mean, we're out here, some of us are out here really doing it.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because what I've been training my brides, because most of my events last year in 2020, I had to shrink them, right? And when I say they were like, we should have did this from the beginning because their budget went up. I tell them weddings aren't expensive. It's the guest count that makes weddings expensive.
Yes.
So if you get rid of, Keisha, who you ain't talked to in 10 years, some things can happen. I mean,
why you gotta talk about my cousin Keisha?
Listen, we've seen Four Seasons, which is Pilar, do some things. Yes. Brandy is always, she's tapped into that, to the cultural wedding. So BPosh, she always kills it, even though they love a good guest count, a big guest count. She knows how to, and Brandy, she gonna have you partying, whether it's 2 to 10 people, will you party? So, right. It's like you can really, we can do those micro and those specialty type events and bring that budget up because the less people that you're inviting, you can have those floral arrangements you keep tagging me on Pinterest with, okay? You can have those centerpieces, you can have all of that. Right. But you gotta, if you're tight for money, that guest count is the first thing that can shrink. And you can, I can get you featured in Essence like soon. So it's like,
Right. Absolutely. Pilar, were you trying to say something? I thought I interrupted you.
No, I just wanted to add my 2 cents to what Brandy L said. The key to navigating planning during a pandemic is hiring a wedding planner and just relying on their expertise and their knowledge. We keep our ears to the ground. We try to stay abreast on when things open up, what the new rules are, what the risks are, and we're more versed in like the best dinner service practices and different things of that nature. So hiring a wedding planner would be the first step if you got engaged during a pandemic. Even if you don't plan on getting married until 2023, your wedding planner is going to make sure that everything is in order for you, and you'll be able to trust them with that event.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So for those of you that specialize in the destination weddings, and I'm sure, I don't know, is a destination wedding preferred for you? Because some of the islands don't have as many restrictions, but then you got the issue with traveling. So how is that working for those of you doing the destination weddings?
So you have to be careful out here now and figure out what countries are allowing you in, what the rules are. Right now, the CDC just rolled out a new one where to get back into this country, you have to have a negative COVID test. And what's happening now, the resorts were scrambling like, what? What do? We get ready to lose all these destination weddings. We're getting ready to lose all these clients. But what some resorts are doing, which is turning into something that a lot of resorts are doing now, is they are paying for the COVID test for you. But say you don't pass a COVID test and you think you have to take it 3 days before you are scheduled to leave. You have to quarantine on that island up to 14 days. But another good thing about it is the resorts are paying for that. Certain resorts are paying for you to quarantine at their resort. Others, you have to get insurance to get that covered, the test as well as the quarantine. So I don't want that to deter people from doing destination weddings. I mean, wouldn't you want your guests to feel safe around each other and negative anyway? So my recommendation is have your guests take a test before they leave, present the negative, test or whatever. And then when you get over there, you all are comfortable and be safe still over there. When you are out in common areas, wear your mask, because just because you are negative doesn't mean that it could be a false negative. So you still want to stay safe. But I don't think that should deter people from having destination weddings at all. Crystal?
You know I have something to say. She hit it on the nose. Like, she really explains it. And the thing is too, again, like Pilar said, we're experts in kind of what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to send you, most of the resorts that I'm working with now are paying for the COVID test, because you have to remember, they got a lot to lose. So they're not trying to be, they're not trying to be sued. They're not trying to be under scrutiny or anything. They have a lot to lose. So me working with kind of the event coordinators over there, and then the resorts of guest services and everything, they're paying for, for those tests. And then again, thank God my clients are taking that extra step. Like B said, they're taking tests over here. Some are taking, have to do it for work, because again, some of my clients are still working during the pandemic. They have those essential jobs. So they're taking them on a regular basis, which is prompting their guests to do the same thing. So again, we're keeping our ears to the streets about the CDC guidelines, but I'm looking at those places first. If you say, hey, Crystal, I want to go to Mexico, and I'm saying, okay, well, this resort in Cancun is doing X, Y, and Z, da, da, da. And most of the places I have been, the last place I went a couple months ago was Mexico. I know B just traveled as well. So we be like this, every time we go somewhere. So yeah, she hit it on the nose. Just, again, you have to listen to us and be flexible.
So because of that, I have clients now that shift into Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. So I have a wedding that I've been planning since last year in Puerto Rico. And one of the reasons I felt a little safe about having it there was because of my contact through ABC. Their quarantine over there was so strict, as opposed to the US. You were fined $5,000 just if you were out. So wow. Their shutdown was no joke. So my client felt comfortable. And let's go to the Marco wedding. I have a client that I've been working with since last year who had like 150 people for May. Mm-hmm. We just had a conversation last week. And again, expert planner. I need a backup plan for the backup plan. Let's have a COVID list just in case.
That's
okay.
Right.
So I'm being real, and I'm being real upfront. So they came back to me. We had a whole conversation. Well, now we just scratched the entire wedding. We're gonna have a beautiful ceremony outside. We're going to fly to Puerto Rico, and we're going to take the wedding party if they want to go, and they're going to do an extended stay. So the bride still gets to wear her dress. She's not robbed of her experience. We still get to have pictures with the people that they love, and they're going to go off and have a beautiful trip with those who still want to share that with them in Puerto Rico. So I said, that's good, because I already know what's going on in Puerto Rico.
Yes.
So
yes.
We're going to take the party bus. We're going to take everyone to the airport instead of riding around for the pictures. So we're able to shift that, but it made a difference with the, again, with the connections, micro weddings, just to touch on everything we've been talking about. Yes. Destinations, taking it outside of here and still just having a day to remember. So you're not robbed.
And see, these are the stories people need to hear, right? And that's really why I do this podcast, because you don't hear that. I mean, we're 5 wedding experts here sharing these stories that folks are like, oh, I hadn't even thought about it. Do people think of Puerto Rico? They think of, Jamaica or Bahamas. I personally sometimes forget about Puerto Rico. So awesome. Anything else, Pilar, before I get to my last question? Okay, I'll just making sure. I want to cut anybody off. I'm looking around. not used to having 4 guests. So, so listen. So let's say the client, they've hired their wedding planner. They've chosen their venue, whether it's destination, a micro wedding, whatever. What's the next thing the client needs to do, or a bride or groom planning? What's the next thing you would suggest they do, or the next resource they tap into?
Y'all just love for me to go first, huh?
Go ahead, girl. Go ahead, Brenda.
That's that eager student right there.
I'm like, I talk. So
I love
you
it.
want to take
Right, I
over?
thought being Crystal talk, so.
It's okay.
So it's just so much involved with planning, right? I mean, you have a lot of that obviously that, I mean, I know as wedding planners here, we have our own resources that our clients use, like our online systems and everything. But I guess I could talk about maybe going digital, because what I went through last year with a lot of my clients with the stationery situation is we had to retract a lot of mail that was sent. Okay. On top of having to retract a lot of mail that was sent due to the date constantly changing, USPS sucks right now.
Yes.
I have a letter that a certified letter I mailed in December. My client still has not gotten it. Okay. So I would say try to whatever digital resource your planner uses. Like for instance, when I can't use my girl LaPen, shout out to LaPen. I use minted.com because we do a lot of websites through minted.com. We do a lot of save the dates through minted.com, and we also do invitations through minted.com. It's just easier for us to change things digitally now due to all of the changes. So I would just say, and I get a discount since I use minted.com. I have a code that my clients can use. So, whether you hire a planner or not, which we obviously are advocates, I'm going to throw that freebie out there for you. We don't really believe in giving things free, do we, Crystal? We don't believe in free.
Right.
Y'all know I almost bought out my invoice mug. I said, Crystal, you do too much.
Right.
But yeah,
listen, because But like Brandy said, I have a code with Minted too, which is, just kind of save. And again, from us being those expert planners, see, they don't know that too, that we work with a lot of resources where we can get discounts. So if you coming in off the street saying, oh, I want this, you paying for a price. Whereas if we come in and they like, hey, Crystal, you brought us 10 to 15 brides, we're going to give you, 20% off, 50% off, or whatever. So that's another thing we're working with the planner. We have those, those connections.
Yes.
For me, it depends on the bride where I start at. So it really depends on the bride. Again, I list what's important. So I'm starting with what's important to them. I can be talking about linen. If that's not important to them, they like, but if we talking about, okay, floral, that might be important to them. Crystal, I want to pay, this amount of money for floral. Then that's where I'm going to start with, because we need to make sure because usually the best floor is already booked, right? So we got to make sure we're contacting those vendors ASAP to get the deposits paid and get them on the books, because they don't work for free either. So us planners don't work for free either. So that's the thing. Depending on my bride, I start with what's important to them, and then just go from there.
Go ahead, Pilar.
So when I bring a bride on, I don't know, guys, I like to tackle the venue. I like to tackle the venue first, but during COVID, it's been a challenge, as we all know, because we have to have a backup plan and then a plan for the backup plan.
Right.
But regular day, it would definitely be the venue for me. I just like to get the larger things out of the way, because you'll have a bride who may want an all-inclusive venue, and then you might have a bride that would like to bring in her own cuisine. So the venue is going to make the difference in how she will be able to serve her guests dinner. So that's my favorite thing. And then I feel like a weight is lifted off of me too, because I can start to visualize the design. I love to design. So I'm able to start picturing what the wedding day will look like. Sometimes they come in with the vision and sometimes they just don't. So they're pretty open to anything that I suggest or any direction that I point them into. So getting that chunk done always feels good to me to do first.
Okay.
Mine is do your research. Don't just rely on your friend had this person, your cousin had this person, or even you may have just seen them at a bridal show, because that's just a booth and you paid a price. Right now, my wedding that was in Alabama last year, we've been on the news. We've been to the Better Business Bureau. We're fighting a catering company that refused to give them back $3,000 of anything. Now, the news story is that they haven't paid, they owe a lot of vendors money. So they owe, I think one of it was like a bridal store that they worked with. We found out they owe hundreds of thousands of dollars to a whole bunch of different vendors that my bride had on her own, that she brought in the fold before she hired me, that she found at a bridal show. We also found out that this business continues to change their name. So yeah, they'll get sued by a company, but they changed their name. I felt a little shaky going into it. I gave them my advice, but in the end, it is the client's choice. We're here to guide you, but in the end, it's your choice. So now, literally, we've been on the news. Better Business Bureau first. I literally had to call the governor because I had to check how the state was. I called the attorney general, the governor, and this is why you need a planner, because we're going to fight for you. I literally started coming up with ideas of things she didn't think of. So I said, call the news. This is what's been going on. We contacted the attorney, ran a news story. I mean, we have to retract difference. It's a lot, and I'm still going through this. And they ran off and got married and moved to a whole nother state, and we're still fighting
Wow.
over this $3,000 because she wants to not owe her parents. You know, you got to think
Wow.
about it, brides and grooms. You have other people that may invest in your day, so
Yes.
do your research. Start with an expert. It's worth it. We're your insurance. Don't drive a Mercedes Benz around without an insurance policy. We're your insurance policy. You may not need us, but you'll be happy when you have us.
Yes, yes, awesome. And I'm just going to throw in there too, because I'm working with a new client. That whole budget thing, you know, they came in and they were like, well, I'm like, well, how much do you budgeted for this? And how much do you budget? I don't know. Well, I've never bought. You've got to set that budget, right? Because
Yeah.
the
I
first
tell
thing,
them stay off Pinterest, okay? Because you send it. Listen, I told somebody today. I said I love you, but don't send me now another link, okay? Because this not you.
that's not your in your budget, right?
This not your jam, honey.
Correct.
This not you.
Correct.
So, we can do what you want, but we got to be realistic. Sometimes we got to sit them down and have that real talk. So I'm
Yes.
like, I'm the planner with the real talk. So if you can't take it, I'm not the planner for you.
That's it. So that's why we're the real wedding planners of Detroit. And we've got to shout out Misha of Dream Celebrations for You. She was unable to join us in today's episode, but we are sending you shout outs, Misha, and we'll get you on here next time. And if you each would just share how folks can reach out to you after listening to this episode. So we can go in the same order and just give your social media and your website. So again, listeners can reach out to you.
So I'll start. Brandy. We got two Brandys on here. I'm B, and that's B Lane. So
Right.
BPosh Events. You can literally Google BPosh Events. If you Google BPosh Events, my website will pop up, my Instagram will pop up, website pop up, the Nada pop up. I got street cred out here. So
Okay.
BPosh, that's BPosh Events, and everything will pop up for you.
All right. Pilar, you were next.
Yeah, I was trying to find this unmute button.
Sorry.
I am not a huge fan of Zoom. I just cannot. I feel so old school when it comes to this computer stuff. Anyway.
Well, you're doing an awesome job. So.
I am Pilar Dokes with the Four Seasons Event Group. Instagram is at Four Seasons Events. Facebook, the Four Seasons Event Group. The bridal boutique is Four Seasons Bridal. And then the websites are just type in the names, Four Seasons Event Group and the Four Seasons Bridal Boutique.
Nice.
That's me.
Yay. Will you party?
So I am Will You Party. That's WILL, the letter U, party. Will You Party on Instagram, Will You Party on Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere you can look. It's just Will You Party. No one else has the name because it's my mother and father's name combined. So if they come through and say it's them, it's not. It's Will and Lou. Will You Party?
Okay, so as you can see, guys, we got so many Instagram links and Facebook, like we got multiple pages. But Instagram on Instagram, Facebook, everything is Crystal Marie Events. Like B said, our street cred is good out here. So people surprisingly are, every time I say, hey, where you find me at, the recent people are saying Google. So shout out to Google for getting that SEO together. Okay.
Yes.
So yes, and definitely please go to the website, click on weddings, scroll down and look at starting prices. Okay, starting prices. And then book that consult. All right. So, because I don't want to waste your time and I don't want you to waste mine. I love you people, but it's business over here because we the real thing. So again, go to that website, crystalmarieevents.com. You can book a consult. It will invite you for payment and we moving on.
In the words of Reverend Roxy, I had her on the guest on the podcast, and she says the same thing. She was like, I don't want any surprises. You can go right to my website. All the packages and prices are listed right there. So let that just be all our objectives. Yes, for the new year. I thank you all so much. I want to just tell listeners that you can read really more about us in an article that was just published in the Michigan Chronicle about the real wedding planners of Detroit. Was featured in the Michigan Chronicle, so you can read more about us and more about why you should hire an event planner in whatever state you're in. We wish you the best in your wedding planning journey. We thank you for listening or tuning in or watching on the YouTube channel, the Before the Big Day podcast. And until next time, as I always say, be well.